So I'm about to start pouring this column, and hopefully you can see that I've added some column equilibration buffer. I added 2 mils, and I marked with a Sharpie where that comes up to, so I'll know where I want my beads to settle to. And here is my slurry of beads. You can hopefully see it's got a very faint blue color to it, and that is the sign that it actually has nickel in there. And I'm going to use a Pasteur pipette to pull up some of this slurry and pipette it into my column. That's probably enough. And I'm going to let the beads start to settle a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see at first, but eventually I'll be able to see a more opaque layer of beads at the bottom. I can see it starting to happen now. I'm going to pause the recording. Oh, I guess I can't pause the recording. It only lets me finish, so I'm going to keep it going. Once I see a little bit of an opaque layer at the bottom, I'm going to open up my stopcock. So I think I'm seeing it now. I'm going to open it up. I need to be ready to add more column equilibration buffer. So that there's never, the top of a column is never drying out. So I need to get another pipette bowl and pipette to be ready for that. Okay, so here we go. I'm opening the stopcock and hopefully stuff starts flowing. Yes, it's dripping. It's coming down pretty fast. I better add some more buffer. I'm kind of letting it wash around the sides. Actually, I think I added too much of my slurry, so I'm going to pull some out. Add some more liquid to make sure it's suspended enough. Just resuspending some of the top of this. I'm actually going to put it back into my slurry bottle. I've got 2 different pipettes going so that I don't contaminate my equilibration buffer with the slurry itself. And actually, now, if I move the camera a little closer, maybe you can see this fairly opaque layer, white layer. Well, it looks white, even though it is slightly blue, but it's hard to see that through the glass of the column, I guess. And it's starting to settle nicely. I'm trying not to disturb the surface of the column bed, and that's why I'm adding the the buffer gently from the top and kind of letting it wash down the sides. You'll notice that the rate that the drops are coming out the bottom has slowed down quite a bit as the beads started packing. I think maybe now I can add a little bit more of my slurry. I'm going to pipette up and down very gently at the top here to make sure that the beads that I put in there are kind of evenly suspended and not big clumps of them. That's to make sure that my column bed stays nice and flat. Right now the beads have settled they're about halfway up to the level that I'm trying to fill to. And I'm making an educated guess that the amount of beads that I already have in here is enough to settle, at least enough to settle down to about that line by the time they all settle in there. So I don't think I'm going to add any more beads. I'm just going to keep adding buffer. And once I see that the level of the packed column bed is getting quite close to the level that I want, then I'll pull out some of the excess beads. The beads are very expensive, so I want to conserve them as much as possible. There's actually a way that the beads can be recycled after the experiment. You can actually strip any remaining protein that's in the column and also in the process strip the nickel itself off of the beads to really make sure you've cleaned everything out, and then you recharge the column with nickel so that you can reuse it. So in fact, what I'm using right now is resin that was used in a previous lab year and that I stripped and recharged with nickel. And if I have time, I'll do that again this year as well. Getting close. And so you can see it's a little bit of a slow process, and that's why I'm pouring these columns for you beforehand and getting them mostly equilibrated for you so that we're not waiting forever for the columns to be ready to have sample loaded onto them.
Is this our main lab room?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm making a video right now.
Okay. I will stay inside. I came early to do work and then had to get access. So.
Okay. Just using my resin pipette to even out the bead mixture in the buffer above. But I'm almost ready to just pull out any excess. In fact, we're almost there. I think I am going to pull out most of the excess and replace it with plain buffer. So that's it, and I'm making one of these for each lab group that should be ready and mostly equilibrated by the time we start lab in a little while.